Welcome to Double Shot Esports Podcast, where we're going to give you the energy to finish Raid 9 and hit Gladiator as we're going to talk about the Burning Crusade. I'm your host, General, and I'm joined by Scores. Hey, what's going on, Scores?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, it's hot here in Taiwan, so what are you drinking? What kind of coffee are you drinking?
Well, I have the AC blasting, so I did make a hot cup of coffee. It's just a pour over, single origin Ethiopia beans.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Ethiopian coffee, good. I got just a basic ice Americano nearby my place.
Luis
does
is
body
good
when does body good when it's nice and cold.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna talk about something that's very exciting to both of us because we love our MMOs and we love World of Warcraft. We're going to talk about Burning Crusade and the pretty much inevitable return to like a Burning Crusade classic.
Yeah.
And I think
there's no way they're leaving that money on the table.
Oh yeah, it's especially after that like leaked kind of like survey to ask people like how would you want us to roll this out. It just seems like why would they like do that and then not go out with it? Like why would they go like ask us and then be like, oh, it's too troublesome. Never mind.
Too much fun.
One thing we need to talk about is why we like WoW and MMOs. Because there's lots of MMOs and there's always this time, there's like the golden age of WoW, there's all these other games where is this going to be the WoW killer? But nothing ever really stepped to it, especially during the times of Burning Crusade, my favorite expansion, and like Breath of the Lich King too. And so I think the thing that we were talking about before is that Burning Crusade really did a great job of taking some of these very fringe or on the cusp of being good specs or situations in Classic and actually made them viable. Like Red Paladins, Shadow Priests, Boomkins. He at least gave them more utility. Were they going to be the best DPSers or maybe like the best tanks, like Paladins could be the best tanks? No, but they were going to finally be viable. And that's like something that really opened up the game to much more diverse gameplay.
Yeah, 100%. Not to mention the huge improvements to PvP and everything that came with TBC, like balance and the introduction of arenas and all that. It's just, huge quality increase, I think, overall.
Yeah. And it was also kind of nice to, maybe some people don't like it that much, but I thought it was kind of nice to like leave Azeroth at the time. It was then like, it actually seemed like very epic to have everyone have to funnel through the Dark Portal to go into this new place. Like obviously in execution, I remember it back in the day, it was a fucking shit show when like, you know, you're lagging and people are killing you in the Blasted Lands, you're trying to go through and then you get through the Dark Portal, you finally get to Thrallmar or Honor Hold if you're Alliance, and you're just like, there are no mobs for me to kill, like what am I doing? Like, but part of that's exciting.
Yeah, and they'll probably have layering anyways.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to have some form of layering or sharding, whatever they choose to.
But when you first get in there, at like on the other side of the Dark Portal is really epic too. Like they designed that so well. Like that's a big part I think of TBC is that because it was an expansion and they learned a bunch from Classic WoW, they were able to like really craft that whole environment like with extra care. Not over designed, but like just like really well done.
And it felt epic. Like you got in there and you see the Horde and Alliance are both fighting these demons at the Dark Portal.
Yeah.
You go through and you see these interesting, crazy new zones. And then, like for me, I remember Blade's Edge Mountains the most because when you get there, you're still on your ground mount. You don't have flying yet. And then you just see these impaled dragons just like dead on the sides of mountains. And you're like, that would have been a raid boss back in Azeroth. And those dragons are getting wrecked here in Outland.
Yeah, or Zangarmarsh always really stuck out to me because it's like just a very fantastical zone and we hadn't seen like anything like that. Like this alien, glowy, crazy world. Yeah.
But before we get too much into the Burning Crusade, I think it'd be nice to do our personal post-mortems of Classic, and as well as you're playing retail now. You're going to play Shadowlands.
I am, mostly just because I'm going to play Shadowlands. Not because BFA is some amazing thing to go into.
I get you. We all get you.
Enough people have piled on that. I mean, It's like we talked about in the Valorant episode how like Blizzard is like completely losing their status to all these other game companies, especially like Riot. But like the WoW team is the one team that's now carrying them. Like everyone is psyched about Shadowlands, it seems like. Everyone's like, oh wow, they're actually talking to the community. They're actually like doing all these like interviews with random community members across like streamers and stuff across the world. There was one with like some French streamers, there's one with some like I think Brazilian streamers, and like Preach, and you know, they're like really trying to engage and make sure they do it right.
Yeah.
Along with I'm a sucker for anything that's like the World of Death, you know, any show or like in Dragon Ball when they went through the, you know, what do they call it? Like the underworld and had the judge and everything. Like I'm a sucker for any show, media where they go to the like the realm of death, whatever they call it, underworld, whatever. Yeah. So Shadowlands is right up my alley.
Yeah. Working through that's like one thing too that World of Warcraft and their teams have always done really well with is creating like a consistently strong narrative that you care about, like what happens in the world. And I think that's why with some of the other expansions that possibly weren't as successful as like say everyone else's favorite expansions or whatever they were, was sometimes like the story strayed from something that you cared about, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in like with Shadowlands, it definitely seems like it's hitting these themes that people find interesting while also like knowing like what could possibly happen after this expansion is what is really interesting to like me, and like we've talked about it already, is that like after this expansion and knowing what they have to possibly do with the game, we come back to Azeroth and like what's going to be in Azeroth, like how do things resolve themselves.
Yeah, and that's I think maybe part of it was so frustrating for people. This is just a hunch with BFA, is you got this stuff with Magni and the Vault and Azeroth and like, oh, the Titan of Azeroth speaking through Magni, blah blah blah. But then you don't like you're there a lot, but you don't really get anything about Azeroth herself. Like, what is she going through right now? You just know she got hurt, and that. But you're mostly dealing with Sylvanas' dumb shit and Ajara's dumb shit, and then oh my god, what's his name? Oh my god. The old god.
N'Zoth.
N'Zoth's dumb shit. And obviously N'Zoth is probably much more related to Azeroth somehow, but you don't get any of it. You don't get any of that info. So I think I honestly think that's a huge disappointment part, because I think the strength of the new era of WoW lore is all going to come from the Titan stuff, why Titans are probably actually bad, why Azeroth is actually going to be good, and how we don't fully understand how the world actually works, you know, and how like what Azeroth embodies herself, and like all these realms, and like exploring the wider universe of Warcraft, like, you know, Shadowlands being one of those tiny realms, and like Void and Light, all this kind of stuff. It seems to be what's really grabs players, and you just like you didn't really get that in BFA, where Shadowlands is straight up that. It's all that.
The thematics of the game, even before the game is fully out, right, just seem a lot more interesting than like what you're saying with BFA, when it's like a battle for Azeroth and you're trying to say like this is very epic. You would think that like there'd be more, I don't know, like with the gameplay and the stuff that you have to do, like there would be more stakes for the Horde and the Lion to have to fight for control of Azeroth, on top of like, you know, N'Zoth has his puppeteering of what he's doing as an old god, right?
Yeah.
But what are you thinking about playing? What's you know, tickling your fancy in terms of like what you want to play in Shadowlands? Because I don't plan on playing, but it is kind of interesting to see everyone's thought process.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I think my plan right now is the reason I got BFA is because I wanted to level the allied races. Like, I know they were going to drop the rep requirements and all this other stuff in Shadowlands to make it easier, but I wanted a character ready to go, so I planned to level it up. So I really want, because it's, you know, Realm of Death and all this stuff, I really want a Death Knight, and I just think it'd be a little memey and, I mean, kind of dope to play a Lightforged Draenei Death Knight.
Yes.
Like, if I could rock the heirloom set the Heirloom Draenei light set while at Death Knight, I just think it'd be kind of hilarious. Because, like, you are kind of like a redeemed Death Knight, right? So it, like, kind of makes sense. But so many nerds are so mad about it, too. So, I don't know. I think it's funny.
We've said this before. You know that there's going to be some red shirt neckbeard out there going, well, actually, you can't be Lightforged Draenei and also a Death Knight. It doesn't make sense lore-wise. And you're just going to be like, yeah, get mad.
Yeah.
Get mad. You're just going to be
I'm rocking light magic and death magic. Get out of here.
Yeah. And what was the other class you're saying that you're interested in?
So I also, like, right now I've mostly actually been playing a troll mage because that was what I first got to max level in. That's level 70 in Burning Crusade was a troll mage. So I went back to that character just for the nostalgia. And also because I wanted to unlock the Zandalar trolls because I really want to level a Zandalar troll druid because all their forms are fucking dinosaurs. And that's just
Dino
cool.
Druid.
Yeah.
Yes, Dino Druid.
Yeah.
That, honestly,
some flavor, man.
Honestly, as a person that, like, just looks like, you know, is on the outside looking into Shadowlands and some of the stuff that's been going on with retail Ralph recently, like, last expansion I actually played was WoD for a little bit, but then before that it was Cataclysm, where I actually really played a lot. Just seeing, like, the fact that, like, troll druids have, like, an allied race to make them, like, shapeshift into, like, dinos just is really cool.
Yeah.
It's just something that it just reminds me a little bit of, like, that book series called Animorphs, right? Where, like, creatures, and, like, the creature you turn, like, you know, druids are like those shapes, but like shifting into dinosaurs is just, like, a really cool concept.
Yeah. Speaking of, like, cool Tyrian druids forms are also kind of neat, but I don't really.
What are they?
Do you know cool? They're like not.
What are they shaped into?
Yeah. Nothing specific. Like, it is the same, but they're just different forms of the animals.
Oh, like different aesthetic.
Yeah, I think they're like more like twiggy kind of. Like, because they're very much trying to make it like what legit human druids were like. Like, they're trying to channel that aesthetic through the cool Tyrians. So they have, like, a bit more, like, woody feel to them, which I think is pretty cool.
Medivh-like, but less magic and more druidness. Because Medivh was druid. He was, like, shapeshifting.
Yeah. So they're much earthier and, like, woody feeling. Yeah. Which is cool. But, yeah, the troll one just... I also like... Because I've always liked troll as a race. But the thing is, right, trolls always stand like this.
Yeah.
Right? And then maybe they'll, like, stretch out, and because, like, they're technically taller than Tauren, I think. Right?
Yeah.
But, you know, not when they're like this.
Yeah.
So they're always just walking around like this. But Zandalar trolls are straight up upright. Like, almost like Blood Elf stance, like that. Like, whatever. We are the best trolls, and we know it.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
They got the posture, the power stance posture.
So,
you know, they don't have this like,
we're Dark Spear. We're cool trolls, but we're definitely the tiniest tribe around.
We're laid back, but, you know.
Yeah.
That's cool. And so what are, like, some of your favorite, like, things that they're going to add into Shadowlands that you are, like, the most excited for? Like, obviously you want to play certain classes and stuff like that and go to the new zones. But what other things are they adding to the game that like makes this expansion like
and we've definitely talked about this, but I am so excited for Torghast. I'm so freaking excited. Like, a roguelike in WoW makes so much sense to me. I mean, I like playing WoW solo a lot of the time, so I'm gonna definitely enjoy it just when I want to just chill and hop in a Torghast and just get some crazy build. Like, I've always liked roguelikey things, you know, like FTL or Slay the Spire. Because it just it's such fun gameplay. And I think WoW's mechanics lend itself to doing something bananas like that. You know, I think WoW's always a game that, I mean, people might disagree, but I think it's true. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, sometimes the lore, I guess, gets real serious, but overall, it doesn't take itself too seriously.
I think since, like, roughly Cataclysm or Panda, for me, that's when the game kind of took a shift to, like, the game plays doesn't take itself too seriously anymore.
Right.
Which is a good for some.
Yeah, right. So I think it kind of lends itself to that bananas gameplay in Torghast, so I mean it just looks fun. Everyone says it's super fun. Yeah, so I'm really excited for that. Also, like, they're adding so many mounts that all actually look well made without being too much of like just recoloring, it seems like. And like I like the covenant system too. I'm really hoping they do this thing where you can battle people in other covenants, because I think blur the lines of factions is this really good thing to do for WoW right now.
Yeah, because also at the end of it too, I felt like just like logistically for World of Warcraft, like people have been saying this for a while, like that, and Asmund harps on this a lot too. It's like if you look at how many serious raiding guilds that there are on Horde, there's like a lot, and then if you look at the serious raiding guilds on Alliance, they're very little. And it's not that the Horde is better than Alliance, like actually in terms of the lore or the narrative. It's just that player base favors the Horde than it does the Alliance.
Right.
But when you can blur those lines, if it's not like Horde v Alliance, it's more these covenants be like jostling for power, and like
right.
That seems more interesting to me, or like I could tell like other people than just like, oh man, like I'm Alliance, and like it doesn't seem like we're ever gonna be just like the top end rating guilds or top end PvPers or something. I don't know what like top end PvPers, what factions are like best in slot, but there's definitely a Horde bias on retail, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. But yeah, so a bunch of this, and also again the like community engagement I think has been huge too for excitement. Like, oh wow, they're actually listening to us. Oh wow, they're actually like no Titan forging, and supposedly they want to change the mission system, like the mission table. Do you remember that, like the garrison mission table thing? There's like a really stripped down version still in the game that's like kind of pointless, but they want to keep something around like that. My guess is they want you to be able to engage with the game on mobile a little bit. But they talked about how it doesn't feel good that it's a dice roll. So it sounds like, we'll see, but it sounds like they're going to make something that's kind of auto battler-y in game for the mission table. Like you'll put a party of dudes and they'll do an auto battle type fight, I think, to decide if they win instead of just being a dice roll, which I think would be cool. I think that'd be really neat. As like just a little side activity.
Get some auto chess, or I don't know what they call it in Hearthstone, but you get it in your WoW as well.
Battlegrounds or something. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I mean, apparently, hella people are excited, right? Because I think pre-orders have been through the roof for Blizzard. I think what's been huge to like tie this all back into Classic too is they announced. I think they already had announced this in Q4 reports, was that they doubled their subscriber base, basically all because of Classic, right? Like their complete subscriber base that was still playing BFA, you had this many, and then suddenly Classic comes out, and then it's here. Like that's insane, right? And they've still been playing, so much so that even they've just been adding players even in 2020. And I think a lot of those players who play Classic, Classic can be like a kind of hardcore time sink, for a lot of players, or maybe you just get bored of the content because it kind of gets repetitive at a point when you're waiting for the new patches. And since you're already paying for the subscription, I think a lot of people switched over to retail just to try it out, or maybe they used to play and now are back since they're paying the subscription anyways. And I think that's also been a huge driver for Shadowlands, because all these people are like, oh, I actually do like a lot of the things retail has versus Classic, and Shadowlands looks cool, and if I'm going to be playing Classic anyways, might as well get Shadowlands,
And I think that's like ultimately was always a part of their thinking with WoW Classic, was like, we're going to give them these people this nostalgic thing that they crave and they want. But like when we think about it, it's like it's maybe like a very well done type of dish, but it doesn't have lots of these extra like spices or flavors and additives and condiments and stuff like that. And retail is that, right?
Yeah,
so
like,
so
much.
This like repetitive, rigid game that is really fun, but it's not very, Let's get straight to it. It's like games nowadays are a lot more stimulating. There's a lot more stuff that just comes at you, and like there is a fun part about Classic that you get from how simple and clean it is. But then you look at like like retail or like Burger King, you're like, oh wow, look at the numbers, they're so much bigger.
Yeah.
Look at the abilities. Oh, look at that epic gear. They're so much better. Like the gear's just so much more interesting than like okay, like this has 15 attack power and this one has 20, so I got to use this one because it has 20.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's something that like they're always going to entice the player base by like we give you this thing that you want, but there is this thing that's a little bit more saucy over here if you want to try it out since you're already subscribed.
That reminds me too. So, I think also because with Shadowlands they're making it a level squish, right? So that once you complete, you'll get everyone at 120 will get moved to 50, and then you'll push to 60, right? So that even if people aren't switching to retail now, that's going to make a lot of classic players more comfortable switching because that doesn't seem like such a hurdle to climb. Because we're like, I did that in classic, and this one's supposedly a lot faster. So, But the thing is, if a bunch of class players are like, that sounds good, everyone's hype, I'm going to play Shadowlands, and they want to buy the Shadowlands pre-order. Let's see if I can find this really fast. They did this freaking deal where you got Shadowlands and BFA together, and 2 months of game time, and a 120 boost, and a 110 boost, and like all this shit for like $80 or something. And it just it was a lot more value than just getting the Shadowlands pre-order. So I bought that because like I do want the allied races now. So I could imagine a lot of people are probably buying that freaking collection. Yeah, the $90 collection, whatever.
Definitely. Because like at the end of the day too, it's like you could just play Shadowlands if you just want Shadowlands, but it's just like you said, there's all these other things like allied races or the things that like, I kind of want to try to get some of these mounts while I still can't. Or like, they spend some of that time before the expansion where then I'm going to be focused on just that content. For someone who's just jumping right back into the game, and let's say like for you, right, you're coming back right into BFA and it's maybe been since Legion or like other times, right? You want to be able to like go through some of that content, touch on it a little bit before just rushing into Shadowlands. Because if you just went into Shadowlands, you're not really going to go back to that old content until X amount of time spent in Shadowlands.
Yeah, well, so you do have to, if you're starting fresh in Shadowlands, you'll do 1 to 20 in the new zone that they're making for leveling, and then you have to do 20 to 50 in BFA. So they are forcing like that so that you get caught up on the story and stuff.
I mean, some of like the dungeons or raids and stuff like that.
That's true, might I tried Lotha LFR. It was kind of a shit show, but, it was cool to kill N'Zoth. I killed N'Zoth. Yeah. It took, we got 10 stacks of the determination, though. Do you know about, like, how LFR has, like, the determination buff thing? So you get, like, a 5% increased, like, damage, healing, reduced damage done to you for each stack. And you get a stack when you wipe. So we wipe 10 times.
Oh, you wipe 10 times and then you basically become really just, like, strong fuck, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's, like, super easy.
That's just like the run.
But if it's a grind,
I
was like, I'll do this real quick because you can just queue for just the last 2 bosses. I was like, I'll be like an hour. It ended up being like 2.5 hours or something.
Wow, that's interesting. Just queue for the last 2 bosses.
Yeah, they like split it up by wings to make the LFR work better, I think.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, to kind of transition to like a classic post-mortem and then go into Burning Crusade. I think we had fun playing on Fairbanks. I think we got the value and the fun out of it. But there are definitely some mishaps with how things were executed. And I think they'll learn a lot from WoW Classic that they can learn for Burning Crusade Classic. And the number one thing for me is how they implemented PvP. With this way where they're like, there's no PvP. And then there's only world PvP. And then like, oh no, like, people are just getting camped and this is very toxic and very trolly. And like one faction that has supremacy over the server controls Blackrock Mountain where the majority of the good, like where the raids are or where the good dungeons are, the majority of that, they just control that area and it becomes just very frustrating. Like I remember like before with some of my raids, he's like, let's log on at this time so that we can get to get to MC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we had to increase that even earlier because we knew we had to death run.
Right.
We knew that half of us were going to die on the way there, get camped, and so that you're just leapfrogging your corpse, right?
Yeah.
And so stuff like that, and I think implementing PvP will be a lot smoother for this expansion because, like, one, we don't have to worry about, like, world PvP is exciting and fun, but they'll be at very contained areas.
Yeah.
And there's also arenas and battlegrounds, which I believe, for the most part, should just be available right off the bat. I don't know if Arena will be available off the bat.
Yeah, I think it was out at the beginning in TBC, so I think they'll do it. But not to mention flying will help you avoid World PvP too. So, and like some people complain about that obviously because like everyone had this like idea of World PvP was so fun, but the way it shook out with all these server transfers and everything just caused servers to quickly imbalance even further. Any server that was imbalanced, everyone blamed everything on that, even if it, a 40-60, maybe it really isn't like a huge problem and you could rally enough alliance, let's say if alliance is 40, horde 60, to like be more even. But the perception, like knowing it's 60-40, made everyone be like, no, this is why we have to death run all the time. I'm going to a server that's alliance majority right now. Let's all transfer off. People even paid, I think, to switch from servers because it was just like, they didn't want to have to deal with that crap.
I think too, even the percentages too are like, you're being more optimistic about the percentages. I think like even when it's 55-45, people are just like, this is insurmountable.
Yeah, no, you're right. 100% people were saying that.
So it's just like this thing where it's like, just knowing that like these horde, these alliance players are just always going to control our server.
Yeah.
Like, it just frustrated them to beyond all belief. And it's like a thing where it's like, maybe some of the more thick-skinned or more understanding how like the game would play out, like how Classic would play out, people who had the forethought to know that this was going to be somewhat a problem are fine with it. But it's just like a lot of the people who then played like Classic come in with the hype and the nostalgia, right? They immediately got put off by this and then either quit or didn't even hit 60, right? And then you get these servers that just became skeletons of their selves that were like during launch, like a robust, awesome servers, right? And I think to transition the conversation to like what we want them to do in terms of like how do we go into a Burning Crusade server is, I think 100% the best course of action is that you either copy or transfer your character off of your Classic server, which stays Classic, onto a server that becomes Burning Crusade. I say this even though maybe when the survey first leaked, I wanted them to just give us like even playing field, give us all 58s or all freshies, right? But like to have even gold and even resources, even time, right? But I think you get these imbalances again that way. You get just more people just like all blood elves. It's also the whole be like 90% blood elves and like 10% the rest of the races. It's just this thing too. Like, if you copy or transfer onto a server, it's like herding cats. Blizzard can herd us into servers and then try their best to keep them balanced. And also, therefore, make less. Because I think the main problem, too, when coming out with these servers is so many of us came in, registered, I want to play on this server. And they're like, oh my gosh, some servers are so big, we need to make more servers. But then people like me, and other people who just didn't even hit 60 and stuff like that, quit, and then the servers died. Whereas in this one, you get these people to commit to these servers, especially if they do what I want is you have to transfer your character. You have to commit to this server because I would hate it if this person's like, I want my character here on Burning Crusade just in case I want to play Burning Crusade, and then they don't play it. They just play retail or they just play Classic.
And skews the numbers.
Exactly. Juke the numbers. What do you want them to do? No, what do you think they'll do?
I think, I know what I think they'll probably do, but I agree with you that it'd be really smart to make players invest when they're moving on to the servers, right? And set it up in such a way, and this part might be a little tougher, but I think you could do it if you, the way you point the servers at the smaller crop of servers, when you're like forcing them to switch, like you only have one option to transfer to, you know, like maybe there's 3 servers that funnel into one because they're low pop, or 1-to-1 for this one, or maybe the biggest ones get split to 2 or whatever. But you have to find a way to point them at it so that you aim for 50-50. And I think it's possible with enough like time and like focus. It won't be perfect, but I think if they're careful, they should be able to get 50-50, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think something that could easily be done, I don't really know the logistics of how this is done, so maybe like from like a game design or like programming perspective, this is like very hard, but like can't they just have a thing like, let's say most servers funnel, like you said, like 2 or 3 servers funnel into one server, and then once that server hits like 5,000, like say the numbers 5,000 players, 50-50, right? Or roughly, like never exceeding more than 3 or 4%, right?
Yeah.
Then that server goes into another server, and then like let's say you have like 6 servers.
Swaps off. So
these 3 go into A, these 3 go into B, and then overflow from A and B go into C.
Yeah.
I think you could do that. Yeah. I think that is possible.
Yeah, I think so.
But whether or not that's too much work, or like what do the logistics of that, like how that actually work? Who knows, right?
I think the biggest fear is around like you have a guild that wants to move together, and a few people do it kind of late, and now they can't go with their guild. How do you stop that from happening if a server fills, right? Would be the one issue, but like there's probably ways around that. Like there are probably ways to be like, we'll still allow people to switch to it for now, or whatever, or but I just think the way Realms went in the beginning of Classic was terrible. Like they were too few, and they had to add a bunch, right? And then like people didn't want to transfer to the more empty ones, so then the high pops are stuck, and they're like, well, so many people are going to quit, so these high pops won't stay high pop, but they made the pop too high, so that those high pops stayed fat, especially when new patches came out. Like they didn't anticipate that it would have this much staying power or post layering. Yeah. Like they had to re-add layers.
Yeah, and all the high pops stayed high pop, or like got down like when they're like at their like most barren, like maybe medium pop servers, but the low and medium pop servers just became desiccated husks of what a server should be. Yeah,
and they haven't tried merging. They could totally they've done it in modern. I'm sure they could merge servers.
It's just so dirty. It's not a clean break, and people like hate being forced. So I understand some of that, but I definitely think they're going to have a lot, like with the survey, and also they learned a lot from how they implemented the survey before, that they should not do it the exact same way that they did this, like with Classic and WoW Classic, and therefore it haven't improved. Yeah. Even if it's like 5% of the servers or 5% of the population feels like in a better spot, that's already like million bajillion times better than how like I bet you people on like some servers like Scarum feel, right? Where you're just like, this isn't fun because I'm on Alliance and like, or I'm on Horde and we're being dominated, or we're dominating and therefore it feels like I'm not even playing against another faction.
So now I won't like say, I don't think I could go detail on like what I think Blizzard will do like 100%, but I don't think it'll work very well. So I think there's a good chance I play a PvE server in TBC, because I don't have faith they'll like be able to create a balanced ecosystem, and I think we'll have a cycle again of the same shit where a bunch of people transfer to new servers from PvP.
I need to check out that Ironforge pop site again, and I want to see how well populations held up on PvP versus PvE server. Like, do the good PvP servers live? Like, were they like more robust and survived some of like the transferring off more so than PvP servers or PvE servers, and vice versa? But it's like that thing too. It's like we were playing on Fairbanks, which was seemingly like a really good server, but like like it had a faction imbalance skewed towards Horde, and we were on Alliance, so we felt the hardship of that.
Yeah,
and so much that like when I had already quit, and like when other people could then transfer, you had like a majority of the Alliance guilds just like all transfer off. They're just like, fuck this. Like we're hitting the eject button because we're not going to have to deal with all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But to get off a server, you can finish off servers, but like I want to transition to, should Blizzard give us a pre-patch and allow players to level up Draenice and Blood Elves prior to the opening of the Dark Portal?
I think they should. I think there should be a pre-patch where you
can
have time to level up. Like,
but no changes. Changes.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I do think we'll have a lot. I think the pre-patch should, which I think this came in a. Did this come in a pre-patch or did it come with TBC when they sped up the leveling? Did it come with the day the Dark Portal opened, or was it slightly earlier that they sped up some leveling?
It was slightly earlier.
Yeah,
the leveling was better, and we got new talents and all that stuff.
Yeah.
For like X amount of time.
Like a month or something.
We just couldn't play Blood Elves.
Exactly. So do that same thing, but add Blood Elves and Draenei.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a lot of purists out there who are like, that is not what Lord WoW wants us to do.
I think we've learned the world is different now. You know, there is no such thing as no changes because the world is different now. Not just in the COVID way, but the world is different now in the way gaming is.
Yeah. But also look at classic WoW. Like, it's not like that for like was like not touched by any changes.
Exactly.
And so to think that they can't just improve on what they did last time.
Exactly.
It's like it's like they're naive. Like why would we just endure? It's like we said with some of these things. It's like it's changed. Why not improve on it? Like, don't give us something that is going to like be flawed just because a smaller faction or even like a slightly like 51% people think like I don't want any changes, but the 49 know that like it is better for the community. It is better for like TBC classics like longevity to have things fixed, right, or change. And I think. I want to play Blood Elf Priest, so I want them to let me be able to pre-level.
I would maybe play a Pally
I'll resub if they let me do it. I'll resub beforehand to level my priest.
Dude,
I will do it.
And this is the thing.
If they don't, then I'll just have to deal with it.
And this is the thing I think with Classic that we didn't really touch on is just how much. I almost want to say the most fun part was when we were all, like all the friends, everyone was just leveling at the same time. Even if we weren't necessarily always questing, like I would purposely like wait to quest certain points, or maybe we were just all chatting on Discord while questing in respective areas. Like that, all that stuff was so fun compared to like the trying to grade and like having to deal with all these other people all of a sudden who are being stupid and having guild drama crap. And I know that's WoW, but like, the leveling in WoW Classic is really good. You know? That's like such a strength of that game. And then we did talk about that, like in advance of the game coming out, that is something that it did better than what leveling is right now in retail. So like to be able to like everyone to kind of be able to enjoy a month of just leveling the new races, you know, before focusing on TBC itself, I think would just be a good fun thing for everyone to do.
I agree. And it's just this thing too, it's like with WoW Classic that, some of the people's content that I love the most was like this guy named Cargos, and he did a bunch of leveling content. And that was the stuff that was like so juicy to me. I was totally into it. And so it's like this thing that's like leveling up. The journey was much better than the destination for me. Like most people were thinking with the nostalgia, like, oh, I want to be back in some of these old, harder raids. Well, guess what? We got final patch talents and skills and final patch nerfed bosses, and that was so easy. I remember thinking to myself, like, as I was leveling or, like, prior to Classic, that this is going to be fun and hard again. I'm going to return to hard MMOs. And then, like, I wasn't able to, like, raid with the guild that we all joined, so I joined a different guild, and we pugged, like, Ragnaros and killed him on our second attempt. On the first time we ever got to him.
Yeah, you guys
and I was
are
just
better
like,
than us.
And so I was like, oh, cool. It just means you bring a bunch of mages or a bunch of ranged, and they have no threat, and therefore they just smash the boss. Cool. We kill him before submerge, and we're a pug. We were like a 20 or 30 man guild plus like 10 pucks. And it's like we were able to smash that content. And now I get it. Blackwing Lair was definitely an up in intricacy and complexity of bosses, and therefore like needing more gear and more refined like rotations to get through the stuff. But I have a feeling that some of the guilds and some of the people feel the same way about Burning Crusade, and they'll feel the same way about all that until they get to next round, or until they get to like halfway through AQ. Like when they get to Twin Imps or like and stuff like that. Or Princess Kukura.
I have a feeling it's still going to be easy. Well, because they won't be able
to be easy for a lot of people.
Pre-nerf stuff, so.
And so, we'll see. And I think with Burning Crusade, that they should let us level the Blood Elves and Draenei, and I think it would be better just off for like the community. And if the community's really happy, that means we're just focusing on having fun and playing the game. If there's these people who are just like, well, we need to really help out these shamans because we need the shaman, our Draenei shamans to get up there, or we really need our paladins to get up there. So some of you, once you hit 70, you're going to do some gearing, but like some of you other people, you have to help these people gear up, or you have to help these people level up. Right? Like no one wants to have to do that.
Yeah.
But even if they only get a couple weeks and you have to start and you're like level 58, you didn't get to hit 60, right?
Yeah.
Before going into,
you'll
who
be
cares?
Fine. Yeah,
like,
you'll get new gear so fast. Yeah.
People argue like, so I'm gonna miss out on all the gold because I didn't get to start when I was 60. I'll miss out on the gold in Shadow Moon Valley and Netherstorm, and therefore it's gonna be harder to get my flying mount. Pishaw. There's like so much stuff that you could do to get your get your stuff. There's actually daily quests now, right?
Yeah.
We're also gonna get weekly, so like like get over yourself.
Yeah.
I just think it'll make it so much easier and better for some of us. So there's that. Another thing I want to ask you is, what do we think about like some of the quality of life changes in the game? Good, like just like a quick yay or nay and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like flying and all the factions being in like one one region, right? Before, when you're in Azeroth, like there's like Kalimdor side, and then there was like the Eastern Kingdom side. It's like, so the people were split, but when you get everyone, we're just all compact in. Like, what are some of your thoughts on, like, say, just start with those two things?
Yeah, I think when it comes to Outlands, especially, flying's good because they designed that place to like, they really did the thing where like you keep seeing the areas you can't go to because you don't have flying, and then you get that finally you get max level or whatever, and you get that 60% flying, and you're just going up, trying to get up there, that slow speed, and then you get it, and you just feel like you feel so accomplished for like achieving that, and I think that's where flying was a good thing. Like that's where flying felt really good. And then when it comes to the like Shatrath, I think hub cities like that are good, especially for these expansions and stuff. I think, especially for like the lore of it all, and I think it's just cool to have that.
Why do a lot of people still hang out in Dalaran?
Exactly.
And
and the fucking Naru in the center.
Yeah.
It's pretty epic. Spicy.
What else is there?
What do you think?
One thing that I think flying was always a good thing. The people who complain about flying are people who like. They're the people who probably don't want to actually go on to Burning. They're like that critical of what
they
changes.
Who they think flying's so
that
bad.
They actually aren't even that psyched about. Like maybe they want new talents, and they're like the kind of people who's like, what should Blizzard do? Should they make Classic Plus, or should they go into the Burning Crusade? They're the kind of people that like I just want new talents and new abilities in Classic, and I don't want to go to 70, right?
Yeah.
They just want new stuff in Classic. So, but for me, I think it's cool. It's very interesting to have these places that you see people. It's like when you see people on their epic mount just zoom past you in Classic, you're like, oh, that's something to strive for. That's so great. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then when you see these places, you're like, there's some cool stuff. Or like, I remember having like herbalism, and you see like these nodes of like, oh wow, I really want to get this. I forget some of the name of the herbs in Burger State, but it's like I want to get that, and then you realize it's in a place that's unreachable. And you're like, oh, if only I could fly, right?
Yeah.
Some of that stuff is very interesting. It gives you something to be like, I need to do X, Y, and Z so that I can get gold, so that I can achieve it. And with Satrap, I like it because hub cities are dope, and also like in general with Outlands having all the max level characters there, I think that's what's good and makes a game robust is that you have the people who are constantly engaging with the game in the same areas. With Kalimdor and Azeroth, in Azeroth with Kalimdor,
feel more alive.
Exactly. You had these people. The continents were alive, but some people were in Ungoro farming Devil Source. Some people were in like Silithus farming there. Some people were wherever doing whatever they were doing. Right. This one's just like, okay, everyone knows. Like all these classic, Burning Crusade classic videos that I watch always talk about the place called the Elemental Plateau, where it's like that's where a bunch of elementals are, where you can farm the moats for your primals, and that is where shit is going to go down. And it's just awesome to think about, like, that's where shit's going to go down. Whereas it was kind of cool to have anything go down all throughout Azeroth, but you're never going to have, like, these spots where it's like, that is the spot. Doesn't matter. Just not night or day. Doesn't matter where you're at. That place is going to be, like, just totally packed, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm really looking forward to, and is like some people don't like it, but it's just something that really made Burning Crusade special for me, was attunements. It's that drive to go like, I need to do X, Y, and Z things just so I can walk in through the fucking door. I don't even get inside until I do something. That's what made those dungeons or like heroics or raids epic. It made them worth doing because
everything
it was like
had
a special club.
Yeah. And everything had a purpose to that, to the end game. Like, it all mixed in. Like, that map is so crazy. I'm sure we'll probably put it up. But, the way everything fed into everything. Like, there were attunements in Classic, but the way it did in TBC was, like, everything was important. Everything had a role in the overarching expansion.
It made you want to do things past than what you were doing them, because it made you do things that you might have not necessarily done in order to achieve certain things / help other people do that. I remember like so well during WoW Classic, there's like this time where like I wanted to do a bunch of quests in like BRD, but like a majority of y'all already did them. And so I was just like, oh, no one wants to really run this with me. Like, I could run with a pug, but pugs with BRD was, since it was such a big instance, there are so many people who are like, I just want to go straight to Thorsten. Oh, I need to do the MC 2 minutes. Oh, I just want to do Arena. And I was just like, oh, I want to go over to this other spot so we can kill this person so I can get this quest and get like 10 gold. And they're like, nah, I'm good. And I'm just like, oh, shit, that sucks. Right? Whereas this one's like, you want to help these people out in your guild so that you can have more people do Karazhan with you, have more people do these raids with you. More alignment. Up, and also more drive, right? There's like this thing, when I got like attuned for certain raids, it made me feel good. And it also made me feel bad / keep pushing when I was like, I need to get attuned for Black Temple. Like, I remember at the time when I was playing Burning Crusade, most of my guild got attuned for Black Temple without me, because I had to stop playing for a little, or I missed a couple raid nights, right? And then I was like, oh, I have to be on so I can get attuned, so that when we do the progression there, I don't miss out. And it's like something that's like, it's that drive, right?
Totally, dude. I wish they'd bring back like the level of attunement system they had in TBC to retail, to be honest. And just like the only change I'd say is just make it account wide. Obviously retail is a much more alty game, and like BFA was really terrible for people who want to do alts because there's way too much you had to do on your main. But I think just make more stuff account, like bring back this complex, insane, intense attunement chart type situation where you have to basically do everything in the fucking game to like progress through the end game, and then just make it account wide. So once you unlock it, your alts can do it. I think it'd be so good for the game.
Yeah.
It's also so rewarding as you go through each step. You have a clear thing you're supposed to focus on. Yeah. So good.
I think too, with the attunements that it not only did it give you something to try for, like it made things not so easy, right? And I think that's what people are looking for, and that's like maybe like one of the last things I want to like touch on in just like what I want to do is like, do we like I think will we just get like final patch talents and spells and stuff like that, right? Or final patch nerfs of bosses? I think yeah, we'll probably get some of that, but I really hope that Blizzard has the foresight to augment some of these bosses to make them harder. Will some of like the top end raiding guilds that go and play this, like these really super strong raiding guilds, be able to smash them for the most part? Yeah, definitely. Like it's just old content, but it's like a thing where it's like I want it to feel like we have to progress. Like if these dungeons, like we get in heroics and like instead of being revered to get into heroics, you have to be honored. Like sure, like if that's the case, then that's the case. But then if the heroics are easy, and then if the bosses in the raids are easy, then why even have the attunements? The attunements were were there because they made it hard and it kept you driven.
Yeah,
we don't want it to be spoon fed to us, or at least I don't.
Yeah, maybe I'm giving them more credit than they deserve or whatever, but I think the only reason we got the classic WoW, vanilla classic WoW, we did was because that's all they had was the 1.12, but we know they have the records for everything after that. So they have the patches for TBC as far as I know. So they should be able to do a recreation of the staggered release. So I think they'll do it, and I think maybe they'll even if the content doesn't turn out to be too hard in this modern day of gaming, maybe they won't even introduce the nerfs, I think we might actually see that this time. And this is a huge reason, actually, we should touch on of why I think TBC is going to be so good compared to Classic, too. It's because we'll actually get the recreation of that patch cycle.
Yeah. I think that would be great. I really hope they do something like that. Like, a lot of it's to be seen. And, I admit it. I dabble in the private of servers, a little bit. And,
now we can't
watch people play.
Now we can't get Blizzard money.
But regardless is like the one I'm playing on, Endless. I'm not at the rating yet. I'm not even 70, but they make this stuff harder.
Yeah.
And it actually is made the server stronger because people want to go with it and do it. If they just walked into Karazhan, slapped it all up, and they walked into like one of the things that another creator said. His name is Metagoblin on YouTube. He's saying that like some of the heroic dungeon gear, like the heroic gear, is as good as Karazhan gear. But because heroics at the time were harder and on Endless WoW are harder, you can't just go into these heroic and just slap them up and get gear that's as good as some of the raiding. Right? So it makes raiding important because the heroics aren't too easy. It also makes the heroics important because since they have worthwhile gear in it, you want to do them.
Yeah.
But if both are too easy, then people just walk in and then they're just sitting there like, people made the argument, or people have said that like all the content is available, like all the raiding content is actually available like right at the start of Burning Crusade. It's just you have to do the attunements, and that was like the built-in speed bumps or checkpoints that you have to get into.
Yeah.
If everything's just easy, I could see people like clearing all the content in like a couple weeks of being max level.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, is that the Burning Crusade that we want? I would argue that's not.
No.
I argue that is a horrible Burning Crusade, and it would just be examples of a cash grab.
Yeah, and you're just bringing in a bunch of the like problems that retail has now that a lot of people are playing Classic to get away from. Like the fact it is like, I gotta say, like I talked about earlier, right? I did that LFR N'Zoth thing. And like it was a bunch of wipes, but we did it. I part of me does think that was stupid. Like we shouldn't have been able to do it. The fact we sucked that much to wipe that, like we shouldn't have been able to. Why could a bunch of scrubs LFR into N'Zoth? Like it should. That's the end cap boss of the expansion. Like if you want to get there, you should have to work for it. It's okay. And in Classic and like vanilla and TBC original, that was fine for a lot of players to not get there. You had other stuff you could do if you weren't going to put the time in or, work hard, be determined enough to get through the attunements and stuff, right? Or you wait till the very end of the expansion when things get nerfed and whatnot that, now you can do it, way later. It just cheapens it when it's open to all. Because it's like, it's an MMO. The secret, the most fundamental rule of an MMO that I think was broken, has been broken a long time in retail, maybe if around a lot of MMOs, is that time invested is supposed to get you better.
Yeah.
The more time you put in, the better you're supposed to be, right? And that needs to be a requirement. You have to put in that additional time to be that good, and it needs to, so that the people who put the most time are best. And it sucks for people who don't have as much time as like no lifers or whatever. But that's the rule of an MMO. That's the fundamental law. More time you put in, the better you get. And that's broken, I think.
And that's where like attunements and other things brought a certain prestige to a character or a guild.
Yes.
Because I remember vividly that there's like one guild that they were able to do Blackwing Lair. They all attuned their guild like at the time, like maybe like a week or two before any other guild on our server, and so they were just getting kills and attempts on bosses that no one else on the server could even do. Right. No one on the server could do. Maybe like your guild, or like if you banded a couple of people together on your guild, like you could do it. But like their whole guild could get attempts in Black Temple, but no one else could. There's a certain level of prestige, and that you get from that it's good for the people who want to be elite, right?
Yeah.
It's good for those people who want to push, and to kind of just like slowly cap things out. I kind of want to talk about like what we want to do or what we want to play in the Burning Crusade classic. I already kind of touched on mine. Like I want to play a priest, a blood elf priest. I played undead priest throughout most of my like from like WoW Classic to like Cataclysm. I was playing a undead priest, and now I want to go back to my priestly roots, and this time I want to play Shadow. I mean, I also want to heal because I played a rogue in Classic, and it was like cool. But then I remember
we get dual specs.
I would need
in TBC, right? Or is that Wrath? I thought it was TBC.
I want to say it's Wrath, but
I think it's TBC.
I don't remember, but I remember like playing on my rogue on Classic. There's so many times where I needed a healer or needed a tank, and it was just so bad. I remember she was like,
no, there
we live in Taiwan and we were playing on. Yeah,
sorry.
We live in Taiwan and we play on Fairbanks, West Coast, U.S. I remember I would be in Ironforge and it would just be dead, and I would get full groups with a healer or missing the healer or with a tank missing whatever, and you would get this tank. They'd PM you and be like, "Oh, I'll take your Strath Undead if you pay me 100 gold." And we're like, "No, that's so dumb. We're not doing that." They're like, "Okay, bye." And then you just sit there, like for like half an hour. One DPS leaves or the healer leaves, and you get a new person, and then you're sitting there contemplating, like, okay, do I really have to pony up 50 gold and try to get 25 gold from this other person and 25 gold from another person? Like, that's dumb. Whereas now that they're more viable classes, stuff like that, that'd be interesting. That's why priest. I'll be able to do shadow, but heal if I need to. What about you?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So I think a surprising amount will be affected by however TBC rolls out, but I'm either going to keep... I really like my warrior, and I think warrior would be super fun in arenas or whatever.
Yeah.
If we're all playing horde, though, I still might re-roll a warrior on horde, but I also am hard leaning to either a paladin or druid. Druid, because, I mean, they're good in TBC, and you get flight form, which would be really nice and convenient. And paladin, I actually played a paladin, like a Draenei paladin, but I'd play a blood elf paladin, I think, and I think it'd be fun. Too. So, because the hybrid classes actually get good, basically, right, in TBC.
A lot better.
So, yeah, but I mean, like I said, good chance I might keep playing warrior.
What would you try to do on your warrior?
I definitely think arena's gonna be a big thing. I think what I'd aim for is, more chill guild. I think plenty of chill guilds will be able to attune and do stuff in TBC because, you know, we're all way better gamers than we were then.
And
And we
also
know
with
all the
25
info.
men, you don't have to get as many people in your guild, so you'll get a lot more chill guilds that can actually sustain a chill culture.
Exactly.
Like, oh, man, we're like 10 people short.
Yeah.
Right?
And then I think with the homies, we'll be able to do arenas for sure. Because, like, that'll be easier to fit into everyone's schedule, I think. Because you don't have to rely on raid times and all this stuff. I think arenas will be so much fun with friends, like, to do threes and stuff. Yeah.
Definitely.
And
that'd be great.
And it's just going to be cool. Like, you know, esports podcast and whatnot. I think it'll be really interesting to see how a TBC arena, like esports and all that stuff, evolves, and comparing that to like modern WoW. Because I think a lot of people are upset with a lot of things in retail arenas. Like, they do some weird damage scaling stuff where your shit should do a certain amount, but it's not doing that certain amount because they do some sort of squishy thing. I don't even know the details. I just know there's a lot of drama around it. Basically, it's like you're not hitting how hard you're supposed to hit with your gear versus the other person's gear. And I think it'll be interesting to see how that's different in TBC and how it'll bunch of people be like, see, go back to this. You know, it wasn't perfectly balanced, but that's okay. You know, it's an MMO, so you're never gonna perfectly balance classes and all that stuff.
So, as for final thoughts, what's like one thing you want to say to like Blizzard that, like, hey Blizzard, this is the one thing that I need you to listen to. Hey, Blizz, listen to this. What's your final?
I think I would say roll out the patches at least at first. Roll out the patches as they happen, and don't roll out with the nerfs or all this like other things that came later. Put out 2.0.1 or whatever it was called from the start. See how people react to it, and then make decisions on that. Don't try to give us a one like what happened with WoW Classic. I think that's probably the most important thing.
I can agree. That would probably be mine. Like, make the game hard. Like, make it worthwhile. Make us work for all of the stuff that we want in the game.
That's the differentiator, man, between retail.
Like, if it comes in and like I'm like struggling to get through heroics and stuff like that, like, I know I'll be like frustrated sometimes with some of the bosses, but I know deep down like it's worth it. Versus like, oh, we just face rolled it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that does it for us at Double Shot Esports podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, always remember to wake up and smell the esports.
Wait a minute. You know, this is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.